406.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 411 from 406, and my name is Chewie. How is everybody? It has been quite some time at this point since there has been a new episode here on the feed. I am thrilled to tell you that Pip and I are going to get together tomorrow evening and record an episode. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but it is on both of our schedules, and that makes me remarkably happy. I do have to apologize. It has been quite some time since we've had a new episode here. What can I say? Life has gotten in the way, and it's the holidays, and it's the craziness, kind of everything that comes along with that, and everything that comes along with living in 2020 and now 2021. COVID continues to run rampant. Now we've got, a new variant. This one, I believe, is called Omicron. And for most of the children of the 80s out there, at least the guys my age, the first thing that you thought of when you heard that was Unicron from the Transformers, the movie. Ironically enough, the voice for Unicron was played in that movie by the late, great Orson Welles. If I remember correctly, I believe that was his last performance prior to him passing away. So just a little tidbit there. I actually happen to really enjoy that movie. Let's see. I figured I would just kind of jump on here. I'm in the car. I am on the way to pick up my oldest son from basketball practice. He has been kind of out of commission now today was his first day back at school. He had missed a couple of days this week. He went to his basketball game on Friday night. Today is Wednesday as I'm recording this. Went to his basketball game on Friday night, came home and went to sleep and basically didn't get out of bed until Monday, which for a 15-year-old, 6'1", 170-pound athlete, as you can imagine, that is very, very abnormal for him. And he had every single symptom of COVID, but he didn't have COVID. We got him he had 2 negative COVID tests. He had a negative strep test. But like I said, he had absolutely every symptom. He had the chills. He had a really bad sore throat. He had a nasty cold. He had a nasty cough. His stomach was upset. He was exhausted. I mean, it was really kind of weird. And I guess that just goes to show that, even though we have been hyper-focused over the last almost 2 years now on COVID-19, the reality is it is still flu season. It is still cold season. And there are still viruses going around. So I guess I would just caution you to stay healthy, continue to do the things that you do to keep you healthy and safe. And again, COVID notwithstanding. So he actually, of course, it was like the worst week for him to miss school. So this is the end of his semester. He is a freshman in high school. And this week is finals week, of course. So he missed Monday, which was the kind of review day where all of his teachers for his entire schedule went over their reviews. And then he missed Tuesday. And so he missed, I think, 2 finals yesterday. And then he went to school today, finally, on Wednesday. And so he was scheduled to take, I believe, 2 more finals today. But it sounds like, his mom was telling me, it sounds like he actually made up the 2 that he missed yesterday. So I imagine when I pick him up here in a couple minutes, he is going to be mentally exhausted and probably physically exhausted because it is the first day back after a pretty nasty sickness in, Friday till today's Wednesday. And then tonight I have to take him to baseball practice as well. So such is such is life as an athlete, a two-sport athlete in high school. I also am very much under the weather today. I am not necessarily happy about it, but I got boosted yesterday. I got my booster, and I'm not going to turn this podcast into pro-vaccine, con-vaccine. I'm not going to. I don't really care. You can have your opinion, whatever your opinion is. I guess I just wanted to kind of tell you my story. I have talked on the podcast in the past about kind of my COVID story. I was one of the original breakthrough cases before a breakthrough case was a thing, before a variant was a thing. So I initially got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine back in April of 2021, and then I tested positive for COVID along with my three boys in late May of 2021. So I was a breakthrough case, like I said, before that was a thing. And I had never really intended on getting a booster for a variety of reasons. I was kind of under the impression that, or I held the opinion that, so I had the immunity from the vaccine. I had the natural immunity from having COVID. And I said, well, you know what, that is sufficient. And, I kind of held that opinion really until yesterday afternoon at about noon. And I started doing the math, and I started figuring out that it had been about 8 months since I had COVID. And, if you, depending on what you read and what you believe, there are kind of conflicting reports of how long the efficacy of the vaccine works and how long you have natural immunity after having COVID. And I started realizing, it was really when my oldest son was sick. Again, he isn't sick with COVID, but I started realizing that, in general, I am not what you would call a healthy person. I'm far too heavy, and I drink far too much, and I engage in I go out. I go to work. I go to public events. I go to public places. I'm around people. And so the combination of these two things led me, it was the right decision for me to get boosted. I got the Johnson & Johnson booster as well. I decided to stick with the same vaccine that I had. I did consult my doctor, and she told me, I explained to her, hey, I got the vaccine and then I got COVID. Should I still get a booster? And she said, yes, you should. And I asked her which one of the vaccines that I should get, or I'm sorry, which one of the boosters I should get. Because again, there have been some studies that show that if you if you boost with, if you got Pfizer and you get Moderna, you have some additional protection, or vice versa. And she said it didn't matter. It was really up to me. So I decided I really did not have really any adverse reactions the first time I got the Johnson & Johnson. And when I got COVID, I had a relatively minor case, as talked about here on the podcast. And so I decided to get the Johnson & Johnson. For those of you that are looking for some place to get boosted or vaccinated, I went to Sam's Club, believe it or not. And it sounds kind of silly, but I got online and I made an appointment I started looking at about 3:30, and at 4:30 I had an appointment. I was able to choose, they had all three varieties of vaccine, no cost to anybody. So I was very impressed with Sam's Club. So if you're out there and you're looking, and you have a Sam's Club around, that might be an option for you. As I said, kind of at the top of this diatribe, I feel like shit this morning, all day. And I got the vaccine last night, the booster last night about 4:30 in the afternoon. And I actually had a council meeting last night. I went out afterwards and I felt fine. My arm was a little bit sore, but I felt fine. No problems. I went to sleep last night at, 11:15, 11:30. And I just tossed and turned all night. I just really got a terrible night's sleep, if I slept at all. My heart was racing. I wear a Fitbit to bed, and my heart rate was up over 100 beats a minute, pretty much all night. And I didn't know if that was because I had a couple beers or what have you. But so I woke up this morning to take my kids to school, dropped off my oldest son at the high school, and they bus him down to his private school. And then I took my other son to school, dropped him off, and that's about a half hour from home. And I had planned on going into the office today, and I called my boss and I said, "Hey, look, I'm exhausted. I don't know what's going on. I'm not feeling well." So I went home. And I got home at about 10 till 8 in the morning or so. And I proceeded to do the sleep of the dead until about 11 o'clock. I mean, I was out, which was good because I clearly needed some rest. My pulse was still up, and even right now as I'm recording this, it's about 20 after 4 in the afternoon. It's still hovering in the 90s. So it's pretty clear that my body is fighting off something, right? And now what I don't know if that is in response to the booster, if it is in response to my son being sick, or a combination of the two. If I had to guess, I'm guessing it is in response to the booster. But again, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. What I will say is that I probably feel worse today than I did when I got the original vaccine back in April, and probably feel worse than when I actually had COVID. And I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm not saying this to add to any vaccine hesitancy or anything like that, or any booster hesitancy. I'm a big proponent of vaccines. I think they work. I am very anti-mandating of those vaccines, but that's a different discussion for a different podcast. But again, I just wanted to kind of jump on. I had a few minutes here, and I just wanted to kind of jump on and kind of tell everybody I know that I had talked about my COVID case and that kind of thing on a previous episode, so I figured I would jump on and update you and kind of let you know what's going on. Like I said, in more positive news, Pip and I are getting together hopefully tomorrow evening, and we're going to have a longer episode of the podcast with the two of us, which again, that's kind of my favorite version of this podcast, is when the two of us get together and we can chat, and whether it is we are reviewing some wrestling or a movie or just kind of shooting the shit. That's kind of my favorite version of this podcast. So again, just like I said, had a few minutes, just thought I would jump on. I hope everybody is gearing up for a wonderful holiday season, and I hope that if you want to, you are able to spend it with family and friends and loved ones. And I just hope everybody out there is staying happy, staying healthy, and staying safe. So again, once again, my name is Chewie. This has been the 411 from 406, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good afternoon, folks.